Ranked among the more profitable sectors of the nation, Rwanda's transportation and logistics industry has seen rapid growth over the last 2 decades. As the nation's GDP grew by over 2% within a decade, since 2010, the sector contributed to this growth significantly. However, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, followed by the Ukraine and Russia conflict, has led to inflation in the landlocked nation in the face of a global fuel crisis. Welcome to Doing Business in Rwanda. In this episode, we will look at how this fuel hike has affected the transport and logistics sector, what is being done to navigate through these difficult times, and how can Rwanda leverage its growing logistics infrastructure to improve trade. Stay tuned. The transport and logistics sector play a major role in Rwanda's economy. In 2020, its share of services in Rwanda's GDP was 6%, followed by a 3.4% decline after the pandemic. However, different companies have a different take on its impact and the opportunities it offered.
The first 2 months, even countries, trucks crossing from a country to another country, there was a problem. Even harmonizing, like drivers to be tested on one side and then the other side was a problem. So those are things which show that the country were not ready.
COVID has had different impact on different sectors. Okay, on the logistics, we have not seen a decrease of volumes. Okay, actually. In actual sense, you look at the statistics in the port of Dar es Salaam and Mombasa for cargo coming into Rwanda, you don't see a decrease.
So during the pandemic time, the COVID-19, well, business was not like how it is now. Well, business is now moving on, but then the fuel crisis is making it a problem.
The fuel price spike's first victim was the transport and logistics sector, followed by an entire value chain that resulted in inflation across almost all commodities.
Now, with the price of oil increasing again, it is affecting the global economy, especially for countries where we consume. I'm saying we, like Rwanda, consuming oil, not producing oil. I would say it's a good news for the oil producers because they are getting a very high return on what they are selling, but it's a very bad news for the consumers. And it affects, so many other commodities.
That means actually, whenever there are additional costs to the logistics or the transport, actually the cost is passed on to the last buyer. So which means that essentially the cost has been transferred to the end users or to the end receivers of the cargo, but can't transfer all the cost and all the impact on prices, which means that the margins and the profits have been squeezed down as a result of these fuel spikes.
It's a global crisis everywhere. It has affected us big time, more especially with our clients. Cars that we use maybe to sell with, we used to sell maybe, let's say at 10 million. Those cars are now at least at 12 million. Because of the fuel increment, we are now renting them at a much more higher price. So into our clients, it's a challenge. Also on the business side, it's a challenge.
Some companies had to cut a part of their daily expenses to reduce transportation cost borne by the end consumer.
So we have tried to reduce the unnecessary cost, because for the fuel we cannot reduce, but for the other unnecessary cost we have tried to reduce them, so that the price cannot be much higher and the client cannot meet with them. So we try to reduce the unnecessary cost so that the price cannot go according to the increase of the fuel.
Being a landlocked nation, the spike in fuel prices has impacted Rwanda more than others in the East African region.
Rwanda being a landlocked country, we actually facing much pressure on the oil price more than so many other countries. Because if you consider the commodities reaching Rwanda from the international market, we use the transport by water. When the price goes up, the oil price goes up. It affects the travel, the transport by water, and then from the costs to Rwanda, which is another additional cost for Rwanda. The cost of transport can go up to 30% of the price of a container. Let's say if you are importing commodities from China or from Turkey or from Europe, on the price of the container, you add 30% or 35% of the transport. So you understand how heavy it is on the price on the markets. That's why if you see the cost of living in Rwanda compared to country on the coasts, it's totally different. If you take a container from the port, not even from China, from the port itself, it costs you more than $4,000 a container. So from the coast to Kigali, it means if the same company would have like two businesses, one business in Kigali, another business in Dar es Salaam, the business in Dar es Salaam will cost 4,000 less on the same container. So you understand that the transport cost is a very big burden on a country like Rwanda, not only on the imports, even on the exports.
Because you close some countries to reach to Rwanda, so the first challenge is there are some non-tariff barriers which are there, which are implicated. There are some infrastructure which are not yet finalized. So the transit time can also implicate on the movement of goods from one place to another. So this one also is a challenge. So and this one also it gives the implication on the final price for the end user.
Seeing the challenges, some of the players in the sector have come up with more lucrative options through key investments that offer vital solutions.
So in 2020, Borore have invested in Rwanda $5 million during the COVID. Okay, that's when you complete the new offices in the free zone and the new warehouse of 3,000 square meters. We're planning in 2023 to start the second phase with another $6 million. So the total complex will be $11 million investment. We are building a solution in this prime economic zone at Masoro. We have built the first warehouse and we are building a second warehouse. The first one is 3,000 square meters, the second one will be 5,000 square meters. We're going to have 8,000 square meters with solutions for traders and business people who can store up to one pallet, which is 1 ton or 1 CBM, at $1.5 per day, including everything, including insurance, handling, storage, inventory management, and the management system that they can access, which means that someone opening a shop in the city in Kigali can actually have a stock for their 10 or 20 pallets for $200 a month, which today is not even the cost of renting a warehouse in this city, in this Kigali. So which means that the solution that we're bringing on the market are going to bring the cost of logistics, warehousing, storage, distribution down, and we continue in this dynamic.
To improve financing capacity among smaller traders in Rwanda, Bolero is now offering themselves as collateral.
You know, on the international trade market, the bigger stock you buy, the cheaper it becomes. And many Rwanda importers and exporters, by the way, don't have this financing capacity. And the banks have no many solutions to offer for people who have this low capacity. So we have come in as Borero Logistics with a proposed solution of collateral management, which means that we as logistics operator become the collateral for these importers and traders with the banks. So the bank can trust us, can actually release the funds and rely on us to control those cargo, to control those stocks, to ship them, to store them, and to release them only upon the instructions and with their full knowledge.
Furthermore, economists believe investments in technology and infrastructure could prove very beneficial for Rwanda in the long run.
Now we have many cars, like electrical cars or hybrid cars, and so many other solutions which aim to use less oil and then put less pressure on the demand related to the transport, so that at least we can say, okay, much as we are investing heavily in infrastructure, but we are expecting price to be cut maybe half or even more than half, then at least we can say, okay, in the next 20 years, the future is bright for the new generation.
To prepare for the needs of the future, collaborative policy reform between the government of Rwanda and East Africa plays an imperative part.
We are lucky that at least there is the East African community as a network or a platform where countries discuss. So let's put in place mechanisms to respond to any crisis.
A trade movement across the region is being handled by transportation and the logistics sector. So there are some harmonization of policies, laws and regulations which have been put in place, and also there are some access control. There are some like in one-stop border post. There are so many policies that have been put in place so that they can encourage the trade facilitation.
The transport and logistics sector play a major role in Rwanda's economy, accounting approximately 4.4% of the country's GDP today. To insulate itself from fluctuations in the global fuel and energy markets, Rwanda's forward thinking could very well serve the nation's upcoming traders and entrepreneurs as the nation develops stronger infrastructure and leaps toward industrial revolutions. Thanks for watching. You were with me, Kesi Christine Nakuri.